Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Sitting with the Master. Today we have a little different master. Today we are sitting with Jerry Woods, who's a personal trainer and working with American players overseas. He has been places and today is with us and he's running with Sean Booker, who plays for us. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah, Coach, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. We started talking about some mutual connections we had before. Just for the listeners, we'll mention we met the first time about 2 years ago.
About 2 years ago, it was in Las Vegas. It was during kind of like that summer league time,
Right.
The most fun time to be in Vegas, in my opinion. We met at the famous Jerry Tarkanian gym, which is one of like my favorite spots to just go to in Vegas, and that's you mentioned Deshaun Booker. That's where he likes to train out of. So
That's awesome.
that's like his home gym, home base
Is
in
that
Vegas.
so?
And it's actually funny. We haven't talked about my mentor yet, but my mentor, his mentor was Jerry Tarkanian.
No way.
So the fact that I'm also a Jerry, I feel like that's part of the reason why he probably took me under his wing.
Okay.
But yeah, just to be in that place with those kind of strings attached, if you will, was just kind of a special time, and then to be able to cross your path because
Yes.
I had looked at some of your things online, so to be able to see you in person and meet you, and you actually coming up to me and introducing yourself to me, I was like, whoa, like I actually know who you are before you came up to me, so it was a very cool experience. But
Thank
to see
you.
you now hearing a lot and you walking in the gym, I was like, no way. So yeah, no, it's been very cool.
Yeah,
about 2 years
absolutely.
ago.
That's awesome. So, since we're in name dropping kind of thing,
Yeah.
Who is your? I have a 6 degree of separation from Jared Tarkanian myself.
Okay.
And I'm curious who he's your guy.
My mentor's name is Chris Farr. He was with Tarkanian at UNLV when he was a graduate student.
Okay.
And then he was with him at Fresno State as well on staff.
Is that so? Eli, Marvin Eli.
Yep.
From Fresno State. I've
Yep,
seen them
that's
at
right.
the NIT.
That's right.
In New York. So my connection to Jerry Tarkanian is through a guy named Ron Ganulin.
Okay.
He was an assistant.
Yep.
Probably at the same time.
And I think I've actually met him when Long Beach State went to practice at Fresno State. He was in the gym.
Is that so?
Yeah, he was there.
Awesome. So that's my thing. Up the line, ball moves, you move.
Yep.
Thumb down, and all this kind of crazy stuff.
Yep.
On the defensive stance. That's I have many preseasons, about 4 preseasons have done that, and I was fortunate enough for when Coach Ganulin took over a high school job in I think it was North Shore in Long Island.
Okay.
He invited me for a couple of practices during the defensive slides week.
Perfect,
He
yeah.
has his preseason thing, so I knew exactly what to expect.
His
you know?
specialty, yeah, his bread and butter.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
Absolutely awesome. So let's talk about Deshaun a little bit and about his journey.
Absolutely.
This dude started with JUCO, and if I remember correctly, he went to 2 different JUCOs.
Yep.
He transferred, and then he went to a real school, so to speak, to a 4-year school.
Right, and that's where we linked up, is when he made that jump from JUCO to Long Beach State. And then I was there, I was working, I had just gotten the job as a graduate student, and then while I was there, I became director of operations on staff. So like when Deshaun came, his first day on campus, I picked him up and I was like, hey, what's your plan today? Like, what do you want to do? He's like, man, I have an open schedule, like don't really know what to do. I took him to the Drew League. We went and saw a Drew League game.
Nice.
And so we spent the whole day together just talking hoops, and then from there on out, that was the blossoming of our relationship. So Deshaun is a guy who likes to come in late night, work out. And I'm also a guy who gets up early for the early morning workout guys.
Oh.
So we called it fourth meal because in the States, Taco Bell is a late night fourth meal.
Okay.
So I'm a fourth meal guy. I'm also a part of Breakfast Club, which is, you wake up 5:45, 6 in the morning, you're in the gym, you're getting your work in before anybody
That's
steps in.
been Carter more than anybody else who worked here lately.
So once when Deshaun and I established that he was going to be someone who's going to take basketball seriously, that's really when I started to invest a lot of time with him. It was like, hey, if you're trying to go somewhere with basketball, let me help you get there.
Yeah,
I'm not going to run a single line for you. I'm not going to do any defensive slides for you. All this work you're going to do, and I'm just going to be here to try to get you to where you want to go, and any way I could help is what I was there for.
Yeah, that's beautiful. We don't have many guys that bring their trainer to see or do anything similar to that. That much. I mean, some of the guys coming in ready, and you see that they worked with their trainer. They had a trainer, they had a coach that worked with them on the floor.
Right.
One of the guys that surprised me with that approach was after the first season, Charlie Reznikov, he asked me to talk to his trainer. So one of the times that he was down in the gym, he made sure that I'll be available, and they called me and they worked on the things I was expecting to see for the next season.
Oh, great.
And when that happens, it's like, oh my God, the guy gives a shit.
Yeah, right.
The guy
exactly.
cares, and he introduces me to his trainer so he can push him same direction that I'm pushing him to.
Right.
And in this case, he came in. He was not 4 enough for me. He was too 5-ish.
Okay.
And for me, a real 4 can hit the high post flash.
Yep.
Is key for me, because when you turn and from the high post flash, you're available and your shot is good enough for you and I to want to take it.
Right.
That means you're spreading the floor your way.
Right.
But still you're spreading the floor, and you see the differences, and that's where I wanted to lead us. You see the difference between the G League and the NBA, where there is a 3 seconds rule violation in the paint, and we don't have it here. So we sit still in the paint in overseas, Europe, and so on.
Right. Play head zone.
Right. So I need you to spread the floor from the high post. In America, most guys say it's a lower value shot. You from the you've been in the G League. You know the expression, right?
Yeah.
How do you see it? How do you see this difference defensively? How does it change the offense when they sit in the paint here in Israel and overseas, rather than spreading the floor in the U.S.?
I think it's a multifaceted answer for this one. I think the approach is different because it's a make and take league as far as like NBA.
Right.
It's the premium is to make shots. Overseas, the skill level is if you're going to leave somebody open at the highest level, they're going to make the shot more often than not.
Right.
Here overseas, you may not have the full rounded roster to have everybody be a threat like that, which is kind of what you're saying. You know, you're trying to change 5s into a little bit of a 4 and kind of stretch the floor a little bit to keep the defense honest. Whereas the rules are already implemented in the States, it's because the players are already so skilled at all the levels. Whereas here, when you're coming overseas, you still have the traditional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lineups on the floor. Right. So that's the traditional spacing that we're kind of talking about, where you still don't have the defensive 3 seconds. You have the players fitting a mold to a cookie cutter position of what they are. Whereas,
cookie cutter.
It's already like it's already predetermined.
Yes.
You know what your skill set is based on what
That's
number you're assigned.
100% what we call matchup zone, which is BS, because we don't matchup zone anything.
Right.
We're just cookie cutter setup. I like it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so
I'll quote you on that.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
All right.
But it's kind of goes to the point that like basketball now, which is where we're seeing all these athletes and the skill that these athletes are having. You're not having a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lineup on the floor.
Right.
In the league, you're having a 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. You know, you're having these players who are able to do these different, stretch the floor with 3, or take it off the dribble drive off of 2 dribbles and being able to put their elbow through the rim, right? Whereas here overseas, you don't have those kind of capabilities across the board. So I think the strategy, of course, and the rules are going to be different. In the States, it's a little bit more spaced. You have to respect the rules of the defensive zone 3 seconds, so it's going to keep the defense honest as far as being able to match up. You may be able to catch them trying to get their foot outside of the paint for a quick second to then be able to draw the double and then find the open guy across the skip. Here, if they pack the paint and you're a team that's not a very good shooting team, it's to your loss, it's to your detriment, because now they're able to pack the paint and play zone. And they don't have to worry about, fan out threes, right? You don't have to worry about the threes as much. So just from that respect, the game is different.
Now, we mentioned that you've been in France last year and you worked different leagues. How do you see that aspect? Before we talk about adjustments of players, which is the main thing for us to discuss for the players listening, how do you see the difference between the French league and the Israeli league? We had Rafimenko here who played in France. Tomer Ginat, who's in Apol Tel Aviv, played in France. So, and I also coached against French teams a little back when I was with Galil, when we played Gravelines and we played the Euro Cup. How do you see the differences between their league and our league?
I would say they're very good about getting into their second and third sides in France.
Sweet.
Yeah, so
Elaborate.
they're able to kind of get more into their motion, whereas
Right.
like here in Israel, it's primarily, from what I've seen so far, it's primarily relied upon the initial action, say the strong side, and then it's going to break off into a pick and roll with probably an American handling the ball. Where I would say like in France, from what I've seen, they're able to get into kind of like their second and third actions and able to get the ball across the court. It still may end up in a pick and roll.
The first punch didn't work.
Right.
We go to the second and third punch,
Right.
which, from what you've seen, would be more often than not will be involved in a skip/swing.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you like better?
To be honest, like with how it's played here, it's almost like without having the highest skill level as an NBA, since everything here almost ends in a pick and roll in Israel, I like this a little bit better.
You do.
Because it mimics the game at the highest level. And I will have to add this as a caveat. I like the France league a little bit better because of the way that the offense is. I like the motions of the offense. I like seeing the players move. I like the camaraderie amongst the team.
Let's not skip. I don't have many. You had good words about the Israeli league, so let's stop about that for a minute.
Absolutely.
Because I don't have many compliments to the Israeli league. I'm more because I'm close, because a lot and all that. I'm more. I'm criticizing. I want it to be better, faster now. I have no patience for, like we spoke about, the rims and the floor and like the quality of the facilities are not there yet. So I'm seeing a lot of criticism through my own lens.
Sure.
So let's talk about that for a minute. You say for you it mimics the style of play, one or two actions with usually without a swing.
Sure.
And then side pick and roll, high pick and roll, whatever it is, and then we'll create off of that.
Precisely. So that's where I'm kind of drawing the connections or similarities between the Israel League right now from what I've seen and the NBA.
Okay.
The difference is going to be the spacing, of course. So if
spacing, side, speed,
it all comes with the skill level and the talent of players.
But I'm trying to give NBA respect. We're not comparing to the Israel, but style of play.
Right.
You say this is closer.
I would say because it always ends usually in a pick and roll, and the actions are not being pursued as heavily as they are, say, the Euro League or even in France. They're not. The actions here are not being pursued to really score on. They're really just trying to find an open cutter.
Yes.
Somebody quick slashing, and then if that's not there on the initial action, it's probably trying to kick out and then get into a high pick and roll. And then that's the similar to the NBA game.
So, yes.
But but what I love as a basketball purist is I love when the ball's hot. I love it when it's moving. I love the actions. I love, the fake action on the weak side, setting up for a strong side action to potentially get it back to the second side.
You were marking like this. I was thinking hammer. I like the hammer action.
A hammer or a double away, and you're still going to play on the strong side, but the double away action is just kind of just all smoke and mirrors. It keeps the defense honest. It's a game that's played with all five guys playing a pivotal role in what they're doing, being a star in their role. That's what's fun about the game is when you see all five players really excel in what their role is, then you really have a team that's really, operating at full capacity.
Great.
Yeah.
So I'll piggyback off of that because we're talking about the players and our audience is mainly aspiring players who are looking to go play overseas or some who has a year or two and now looking to push through and go to the higher level like we're talking about, the comparing between the Israeli and the French league.
Sure.
Let me just finish up the X's and O's part. I'm an old school guy from the sense of the swing.
Okay.
So swing, I need the ball to move one side to another.
Yes.
Coach Gangelin used to say one ski pass leads to another. And because that's the long closeout, right?
Absolutely,
so he was playing off of that, and that's what I like about the French league better than ours, is that it's not handoff, downstream, whatever, high pick and roll. It's not that. It's the 2-3 actions or punches for the play before are being held as real. It's not just smoke and mirrors.
Right.
It's like, oh, we want it. If it's here, we take it. If
Right.
it's the down screen with Mozgov or whomever, LeBron passed the one hand look away pass.
Yeah.
So exactly. So the down screen is real. Now
Right.
you're fake me on the down screen. I'll jump to the ball and cut to the hoop.
Right.
So
Backdoor. Yeah.
that's the stuff. So for me, that's the stuff.
Right.
And then my other thing is I'm very synergy kind of guy. So when I see a down screen with a fake like that for LeBron, it takes 3 guys. Now we can't always involve all 5 at every action, but here you have 3 guys working cohesively.
Yes.
I love that. It brings me joy.
Being on the same
That
page
level.
without even necessarily having to communicate it. So it really is.
Exactly. So it's good habits and then high quality reads.
Yes.
And that's
high IQ.
and that's the reads is something that we used to talk to with Avi Ben Shimon, who played for us till I think 3 or 4 years ago. He was here 2 stints. He played for Maccabi. He won the EuroLeague championship, and he played for us for 2 stints. And he's a great dude. And
Yeah.
we're talking about these reads a lot with him. Let's go back to the adjustments.
Okay.
That players have to do when they come here. They sometimes I feel it's a double-edged sword because we want them to be the man on campus. Because when you're an import, you have to lead the team. You have to have immediate impact. You have to be positive and push through. Positive is a bonus. Not everybody will demand players to be positive. Sometimes
Right.
just to be nasty on practice and push guys would work as well, but my thing is we demand them to be leaders right off the bat, and at the same time to be coachable and students of the game,
Right.
because we play different, and you see that.
Right.
How do you see this balance?
Well, what you said is spot on. So, like, when you get an import here into Israel, you see that they are why the fans are coming to the games, really.
We never forget that.
Yeah,
we never
so-
get confused on that.
And I don't want to, be insulting with that. It is just kind of what it is right now as basketball begins or continues to grow here in Israel. So from that standpoint, you're bringing these guys in to be an immediate impact player, and that's exactly what needs to happen. And I can see it here in practice. They are a second coach on the floor. They're helping, trying to teach the game of basketball here to the other, native players.
Yes.
And so it's very important to have that second voice for a coach. And I can see it here in practice, but it's something that you have to come in and you really have to know it. You have to know the game. You have to have a high basketball IQ to play at this level. If you come into this and you somehow fool the GM of a team and you don't remember plays or you don't know the X's and O's that well, you don't really take direction well, it's going to be a short-lived, time for you wherever that program is.
Right. So some of our tricks for players to avoid the short-lived stint is to watch the team's games from previous year.
Yep.
Some of them say, "Oh yeah, I'll watch the whole game," and we go, "Yes, watch a game or two, not more for this to start with."
Yeah.
But watch many of the highlights because you'll see where the better punchlines off the plays, the better steals off the weak side help, the
Right.
scrape off the big man, these kind of stuff will help the player understand the concept.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go into full game viewing, then you get the feel of the rhythm of the game
Right.
and all that. But to understand what brought most points, what would be what was more exciting, what worked, what didn't, that's part of it. So yeah, absolutely. So the X's and O's is part. How much of a double kind of guy are you? Do you go morning routine, evening routine, and push players to work twice a day? Or you more into what I see in the G League now, or what I experienced with Ryan Penon at with Birmingham Squadron, that coaches coming in at 8:30 because the team meeting is at 10, and then practice at 11, and after practice we can video before, video after. We can do weight room before, weight room. It depends how many. But then by 3:00 we're done.
Right, you're out the door and everything. The rest of the day, do whatever you want.
Yes.
Yep.
So which one is more of your style?
So mine's all going to be kind of situational based, whatever that player needs. So like, for instance, in season right now, I'm out here training Deshaun Booker, right? I'm not going to put him through a 2-a-day because he's in the middle of the season. I'm not going to even put him through a strenuous real workout where he's logging a lot of miles on his legs because he's mid-season, right? So Deshaun's also a guy who doesn't like to wake up early. Okay, so I'm going to cater to his style, and we're going to get shots up after practice or later on in the evening. So it's kind of catering to what that player needs and what that what the situation calls for.
Okay, so I'll make it even harder for you. If the team have a double.
Okay.
Now the team has a double. We used to have doubles here. Double 12 and 6 when we're not good spreaders,
right?
And then when Ben Carter came on board, he asked to push it up,
right?
So we started 10:30. It's not college, it's not 6 a.m.
Sure,
but we did it 10:30, and then until 6 you have more time to recover. Would you take your guy, Sean, or whomever you were running with? Would you take your guy after the morning workout, which is usually non-contact, no tapes, so you're kind of working out rather than practicing hard with full contact? Mm-hmm. Which one would you choose better?
So what I would do the morning workout and then do the evening, so do the double. So I'm a fan of the double. So you come in before practice, you get your 45-minute slot in to get your work in.
Okay.
And then you have the rest of the day, whether you have film right after that or if you have a weight session right after. Mm-hmm. Then you either walk into practice or you go out to lunch, and then you come back for your evening practice at 6. I like how that is kind of orchestrated because you get your reps in the morning with the non-contact. If you do the weight before or after the morning session, that's up to whatever the team decides. And then you come back for your afternoon practice, your evening practice, and that's a full throttle practice. That's tape. You're going through actual game situations, 5-on-5, 5-on-0. That's where you build a lot more of the team camaraderie. When you come in the morning or you come in like super late night, say you want to do your second workout after practice, that's where you come in and you get better at your game. When you come in at 6 o'clock in the evening for a team practice, that's the team's time. That's how I view it. So if you're able to get in a short, concise workout between 30 to 45 minutes, I'll tell you right now, I can get a good workout in for 30, 45 minutes, have these guys dripping sweat. They don't need to be in the gym for 2 hours. So you come in, you get your work in the morning, you go, you rehydrate, you get some fuel in your system, you take a nap, you let your body soak in what you just learned and put the body through on the court. You wake up refreshed, you come in for a little film before practice, and then you have your whole time with the team. And then you get your team camaraderie and you build the team chemistry that way. So I like that 2-a-days. But when I'm on as right now, I'm traveling from player to player.
Yes.
It's just kind of whatever their preference and whatever their schedule is. And whatever the club is willing to open up for. So here in this has been the most open doors that I've ever experienced being international. You guys are saying, come whenever you'd like. If you could come in the morning, just let us know. You need extra shots at night, just let us know. We'll open up the facility.
Yes.
It's been the most transparent and welcoming environment for pros here who still, maybe this is the end all be all for some of the pros who want to get to this place.
We had few.
Yeah.
But most of them,
well, they want to keep going, right? They want to keep climbing.
We want to see them succeed. It brings us joy. It's part of
coaching.
It's part of coaching, and I'm working on it to be part of the culture because we're good at bringing Elijah Bryant on board.
Right.
So somebody out of BYU, somebody has to take a chance on you.
Right.
Now you and I know he was. I think Cam Newton said that. He said something like, I was a Super Bowl champion way before this game. I was waiting for you guys to see it. Mm-hmm. He said something along these lines. Mm-hmm. And when you look at guys like Elijah Bryant, you and I know with our experience that, hey, I don't know if an NBA champion and EuroLeague champion year after year, I don't know.
Yeah.
But you see that it's a champion. We've seen that he has a lot more than a Poilelat in him. Mm-hmm. I didn't expect him to say, Poilelat, I'll run with you for 5 years, I'll go for another place for 2 years, I'll come back to retire and done.
Right.
It was obvious he's going places, and we're happy for him. And since then, Nebo, similar thing, and the list goes on and on. I take a lot of pride in that because this is something that we had hard time to do before because you have to you have to take a bet on someone. You have to put your chips on a guy that he doesn't know and you don't know, and you both have prediction that it would work.
A leap of faith.
But yes.
Yeah.
So it's a combination between this as an attitude and budget and style of management. So it's kind of it's kind of a situational, like you say.
Right.
Let's go back to the way you treat the guys, the way you handle the guys. I have my own style, and when I'm the head coach, I know my role. You were talking about roles, and I liked it because when I'm an assistant, now it doesn't matter what I know. It matters how I serve my head coach. So it's not about my knowledge or my preferences. It's about head coach instructions and what he demands from us to do.
And what his vision is, right? Yeah.
Yes. So we need to support that. And you are flexible in a very interesting way because you bring another layer to the flexibility. You say it has to serve the team, the players, and then I'll get my own craziness into how I train.
Right.
So you respect the room of, hey, that's the camaraderie time on the floor, like the guys have right now. Right now, Coach Maximilian Minetti is running practice. Uriah Mizrahi and Valerie Gendelin are assistant coaches. They're on the floor, team practice. We just stood aside and stepped aside and took the liberty to record some stuff for you guys.
Yeah, but it's kind of like what you said. There's a time and place for everything.
Right.
And for me, being a foreigner here, I'm also just respecting boundaries, and that's kind of how I do it with how I conduct myself as well. I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none, so I feel very honored to be on a podcast that's talking about masters here.
You're mastering us for that. Because you bring your. I don't remember who said that about the going narrow and deep.
Yes.
You go narrow and deep.
Yeah. So like you talked about earlier before we hopped on this about how networking is huge.
Yes.
I don't have an extremely mile-wide network. My network is very tight, but it's very deep. And the bonds that I have in my network are very tight, and I take great pride on that. And that's how doors have been opened up for me, is I've been able to do right by the people who brought me up.
Yes.
That they've opened up doors for me to where I can continue to help them fill what their vision is, whether it's going to be a team, whether it's my mentor, Sifar, doing his trainings, whether it be Deshaun and him traveling from Italy before we even got here a couple of weeks ago to be here and helping him just arrange his belongings and doing everything. So it's just kind of whatever I can do to help, and being respectful at the same time is what I want to do, but I want to do it as professional as I can.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's beautiful. And something about your standards that you said, we spoke about facilities, and again, my criticism to my beloved Hapoel Eilat is I want to see the arena that is being built in the near future, or nowadays, I'm not even sure how to call it, but it has about 3 years from now it should be ready.
Okay.
I want the facility to push through and be better. I want us to be able to serve a college team to come in and host a tournament in Eilat.
Yeah, like an international tour. That'd be great.
Yes, this is something that is, for me, it makes sense.
And what a place to do it. I mean, it's beautiful here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the summer here is awesome. And you've seen the strip of the hotels.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, it's
walked it many times, been down to Moss Beach a couple times. I mean, it's
nice.
A great place. Yeah,
Yes.
I've hit all the beaches here. I'm a beach guy. Long Beach, come on, baby.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I've hit all
right.
the beaches here.
Any there? Do you have any snorkeling? Do you have reefs there, or it's more sand and it's a beach with it's a white sand, right?
It's not white sand, but it is a beach where sometimes there'll be good ways for surfers to be out there. But it's not It's not so much snorkeling though. Here is like a snorkeler's paradise, and more so like Hawaii would be America's like snorkeling paradise, if you will.
Okay,
but
because here because of the Red Sea is so narrow, narrow and deep. We like that,
right? Yeah.
So the reefs are very strong in that. Mm-hmm. And when we had, during the COVID, right before the COVID, we had a terrible storm here, which broke the promenade. Yeah. It was, nobody died. It was not, but we had rain, which you see that we rarely have any.
Right.
And then the storm was really harsh. So they started rebuilding it.
Wow.
And it's bad to go through bad things, but you know what? They're rebuilding it really nice.
That's good, yeah.
So I think
it'll come out on the better side. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I sure hope so. Okay, so give us a good rule of thumb as for preseason workouts. So say even El Salvador, which is kind of the weaker side of the Latin America. How do I get in shape into a season when I work by myself?
Working by yourself?
Yes.
Like no trainers, nothing?
Right.
Okay, well, you better learn to make baskets quick. Otherwise, you're going to be rebounding the ball and getting your conditioning in that way.
Okay. But how do you split the weight room and conditioning?
Sure, yeah.
And
so I'm an early bird. So if I'm doing that, I'm waking up at 6 a.m. I'm going on a 2-mile run, and then I'm going to get breakfast, and then minimum, I'm doing a 2-mile run every day, and I'm getting 500 makes, no matter what. Everything else on top
2
of
miles
this,
run, 500 makes. The 2-mile runs, you do it in the morning, but then I'm shooting in the evening. You don't care for that? It's the mileage. It's the daily mileage that counts?
It's the legs for me that count. So I'm going to wake up, I'm going to get my legs right.
Okay.
Automatically, I'm just going to wake them up. I could do a 10-minute stretch, go on a 2-mile run, get some food in your system, go to the gym, try to get 500 makes in the morning, try to get a 45-minute weight session in. And then when you come back in the evening, form shots and sprints.
When you go weight room, do you go 3 sets, 15 reps, or RM 40, like 40% of RM 1, or like how would you split that? Rule of thumb, generally speaking.
Right. Depends. Like if you're in the off season, you haven't done anything, and say you've lost weight, you got to get back into a strength training program. So that's going to be probably 3 sets of 8 to 10. Try to increase your muscle mass before you really try to get too bulky, which would be like 5 sets of 5, or 3 sets of 5. The lower reps and fewer sets you do, the bulkier you're going to get. The more reps you do, and it could be few sets as well, but the more reps, if you're in the 20 to 25 rep range or 15 to 25 rep range, you're going to get longer, leaner. That's kind of what you want for basketball. I'm more of a Pilates yoga guy.
Okay.
So I'm more of being a wiry, strong rather than bulky. That way you're not limiting your sense of movement. And if you get too bulky, sometimes your hands can't touch your shoulders, right? So you can't even do that. If you're a coach, you can't call a timeout. Think about that, right?
Got it.
So if you get too bulky, then
this is not a timeout here, right?
I do now.
Yeah. This is 24 seconds violation. This is this.
Oh, so it's reversal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of funny on that.
So my regimen would be wake up in the morning, you do some sort of conditioning. The minimum outside of that, you have to get 500 makes a day. If you're able to get into a weight room 3 to 4 times a week and allow one day where all you do is shoot free throws or get 100 makes around the arc, then you allow one day of rest, but it's an active recovery day of rest. You still are doing something. You're not doing nothing. You need to consistently be in the gym like that. But after you get your morning run in, you get your stretch, you get something to eat, you start getting your shots up. Take conditioning seriously. So do 10 end line to end line sprints in less than a minute. Touch the wall. If it's a 1-court gym, touch a wall.
Give me that again. You say the minimum or the lower bar of the standard,
yes,
would be 10 touches.
10 touches in a minute.
In a minute.
And
okay.
that's a baseline standard. So by the end of 2 to 3 days, at the end of your first week doing that, you should be able to do 10 in 58, 57 seconds if you aren't able to make it the first time. And this is all still while doing your 2-mile run in the morning to get your blood moving, to get yourself awake, to get the endorphins from working out in your body. Because as soon as you become stagnant, your body wants to remain stagnant. You don't want to move. It's a natural thing for people to be more inclined towards laziness. So the sooner you get yourself up and out of bed and you start moving, you're going to feel better about yourself and you're going to feel better about your day.
Thank you for the personal encouragement. I started working on...
Yeah.
Seriously,
yeah.
I started working on doing 3 kilometers. I don't know why I stick to kilometers. To pass the 3 kilometers a morning.
Yeah.
And I want to do 5K each morning. As a run, jog, whatever.
Yeah, just to get out there.
But right now I'm still in the walk-in, so I'm
that's okay.
It's a process. I respect that, but sometimes again I'm impatient with myself. That's where it is. But and for me it's more for to be lighter.
Sure.
Rather than get in shape. So to lose weight, yes, but then to be lighter when I demonstrate on the floor,
sure.
when token defense, stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's where your advantage comes into play because you guys are younger and you didn't fall into the chubbiness.
Well, this is also like before you met me, I'm probably about maybe $170 right now. Okay. I used to be about $185 and I was a meathead, so I was really big. Like I probably couldn't touch my shoulders.
Oh,
and
nice.
This is probably maybe like 10 years ago now, so I'm kind of dating myself. But during that time, like I couldn't really do the basketball movements, and so that's why I kind of geared me more in line with the Pilates and with the yoga, is so that you still move the way that your body's supposed to move, especially with the given sport that we're in. You need to be agile, you need to be lean, but you still need to be strong too. So So you still need to get that in. I've recently, with my buddy back in Santa Barbara, I read a quote and I shared it with him, and it says, success isn't owned, it's leased, and rent's due every day. And so for the
whoa. One more time,
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
So success is not owned, it's leased, it's rented, and rent's due every day. So every day you have to pay rent. Every day you have to do something to justify where you're at, to get you to where you want to go. You can't live in your apartment without paying rent. You're going to get kicked out.
Right.
You can't go run a marathon without training.
Yes.
You can't run a 5K without beginning to walk first.
Absolutely.
Right? So you gotta take success and not be satisfied with it, because today is today, tomorrow is going to be tomorrow. What are you going to do today to set yourself up for success tomorrow? You have to. The rent's due today. So recently I've been doing 100 push-ups every day. That's my rent. My rent's due every day.
Awesome. I love it.
100 push-ups.
Love it.
So that's just something right there. That gets my blood moving. I don't run the 2 miles every morning like I should, and I'm not training to be a pro athlete right now. But when I was in the heat of my prime, I was really trying to get after it like that, so I could still
But you
compete with
follow
guys
the
who-
same principles, and I like it.
Yeah.
You follow the same principles, and it inspires me to push through my thingy.
Yeah.
Because I'm not running, I'm walking. And it's a power walk, but it's a
Yeah.
walk.
Hey, I was training for an Ironman back in the day, back before CFAR pulled me up to be really his kind of protege, the next coming of one of the best basketball trainers in my mind in the world, Chris Farr. And when I was training for my Ironman, the one piece of advice before I started running 10 miles a day, 12 miles a day, was walk 10 miles. Don't jog 3 miles, don't jog 4 miles. In order to increase your distance of how you want to run and how long you want to run for, you start walking longer distances first before you even jog shorter distances.
Yes.
And so even though you're walking right now, your walking right now is going to allow you to run further than you ever thought when you start doing it. I will promise you that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
don't be
I'll
discouraged.
take you up on that.
Don't be discouraged by walking. Don't sleep
All right.
on that. But walking is important.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, guys. I hope you got some of the knowledge, experience, and wisdom from Jerry Woods. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I hope I was able to share some information. Hopefully you guys were able to learn something. But
Absolutely. And guys, remember, practice is nothing but a recipe for the game. Work it into progress.
Yeah.
Work hard, work smart, respect the pioneers. That's what we're all about. Thank you for being with us today. We'll see you on the next episode. I'm CoachRangi. I'll see you around the ring. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us to another episode of Sitting with the Master. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed creating it. You're more than welcome to join us on Spotify or any other podcast platform you might be using. You can also find us on our website, aroundtherim.info, in our Facebook group, Around the Rim-Going Pro, or on other social media platforms, CoachRangi. Hope you enjoyed it and it gave you the value that you came here to look for. I will see you around the rim. Bye-bye.